I told them if they didn't bring me enough questions, I'd have you tell your love story with Elizabeth, but they brought me enough questions. I do want to see the U.S. end our military engagement in Iraq and Afghanistan, as well as at many military bases around the world, but I am horrified by the treatment of women in Afghanistan at the hands of the Taliban, as well as traditional culture. What can the U.S. do to support the women of Afghanistan?
Well, when you're talking about the rights of women and children, women in this case more specifically, this becomes a matter of the international community. Let's face it, who's getting killed by most of these bombs?
Women and children.
Exactly. So this idea that somehow we're involved in some charitable undertaking and waging war against the very people we're trying to save sounds too much like Vietnam's. We're bombing the villages in order to save the villages. I don't buy that. What do we do? This is a matter for the international community. And as a matter of fact, all security ought to be the involvement of the international community. This is why when we talk about one of the casualties of war being not only truth, but the essential unity that exists. I want to focus on this just for a moment as a way that we address the plight of women in Afghanistan. Again, thank you to the Olympia Peace Choir for singing about unity, about one world. The whole idea seems so fantastic, but yet we know that human unity is a physical fact. Look at Einstein's unified field. Look at the human genome theory that says we're 99.9% all made of the same thing. The problem that we have and the challenge that we have is to get past this thinking that separates us. Yeah. It's the thinking that separates us. The thinking of us versus them, whoever they are, right? The thinking of young versus old, rich versus poor, you know, the thinking that is what you could call dichotomized thinking. That thinking is the precursor to war. That thinking, that separative thinking, is what enables us to go to war. And yet, we know that human unity is an undeniable fact, that we are interdependent, that we are interconnected, that we are in fact all one, no matter how vigorously we try to deny that. And so it's that awareness, it's that comprehension of human unity, which is our path towards involving the world community to meet the challenges that women face in Afghanistan, to meet the challenges that children face in labor in China, to meet the challenges anywhere in the globe where people are in situations where they're being harshly treated or being dehumanized. So this is, we first have to come to this awareness, and it's a shift in consciousness that I'm talking about. But it's something that we have the capacity to do. And it's this song about oneness, this songs about people coming together that really tap a very deep place in all of us of an awareness of oneness. And you know, think about in your own lives where you've had some kind of a separation or alienation from someone and then you come together again. Think of how powerful that is, even if it's for a day. But think of how the power that has to heal. We have that power. And so, but we cannot any longer pursue it as a nation alone, apart from the rest of the world. And we have some business to attend to here in America before we have credibility to reach out to the world community.
I disagree with the decision to back down from single-payer health care. What do you say to that?
Well, I have not backed down from single-payer health care. I did at a moment. You know, I was the last person standing on the issue of a public option, just a public option. It was my bill with John Conyers that we had 93 co-sponsors for universal, single-payer, not-for-profit health care. My concern was this, And it was a practical political concern. What I saw happening in Washington is this. I saw the forces, you know, first of all, I wish that the president had not put all these eggs in one basket. I took an hour trip with him on Air Force One where he tried to convince me to support his program, and he didn't convince me of anything except that he was totally dedicated to passing this bill without regard to the fact that it was insufficient. It was so-called reform within the context of a for-profit system. I think for-profit health care is a disgrace. I want to share something with you, though, because this was a very tough decision for me. Because having been the standard bearer with John Conyers for a single-payer system, and I saw that the vote could come down to 1 or 2 votes, I knew that if I went against it, that I could probably sink it. So then I'm thinking about people in my neighborhood who have children who have pre-existing conditions, they can't get insurance. I'm thinking of elderly who are paying exorbitant prices for their medicine, they can't get any breaks. And very reluctantly, I decided that you take a step in the direction of some kind of reform, even if it is within the context of a for-profit system, to at least hold a place for a reform. Now, there is a battle going on right now. People want to repeal even that much. The people who are unfortunately doing the work of the for-profit insurance companies in order for them to have a continued hold on our economy. I'm going to tell you something. Maybe you already know this, but in terms of gross national product, the health insurance industry takes a much larger share than the defense industry. There's no question about it. In terms of the amount of money that goes every year, percentage. You know, we have, every year, we have $2.2, $2.3 trillion that's spent for healthcare in America. And 1 out of every $3 goes for corporate profit, stock options, executive salary, advertising, marketing, and cost of paperwork. If we took all that money, which is about between $700 and $800 billion a year, that does not relate to healthcare, but if we use that for healthcare, we would have enough money to cover all Americans who would then have vision care, mental health,